Heavenly sounds, heavenly movements, heavenly crowns. By leaps and bounds, we're taking the mounts, we're doing it all for you. We're living our lives for you. Come do what you will do. Yeah, let your fire fall.
Welcome to Rule and Reign. So glad you're joining us today. Today is going to be phenomenal. We have a special guest here today, but I just want to remind you that as we gather together, as we talk, as we dig, as we go deep, as I like to say, we're here to encourage each other, empower each other, and elevate one another, because we are called to be sons and daughters of the Most High King, kings and queens, to reign, rule and reign in the land of the living. And that's why we're here, to talk about it.
Come on,
Let's do it. So, welcome our guest. This is Esther Brunat, and I'm going to let her tell you all about her. Talk to us.
So I'm a high school math teacher by trade, Haitian descent. Lane and I have been friends for a few years now, because we go to the same church. Outside of being a teacher, I'm still a teacher at church. And
Gifts.
I do, right, yeah, your gifts are your gifts, you know. And I do a few other things too, like do some side hustle stuff, you know, trying to get multiple streams of income out here in these streets.
Okay.
So that's basically, I mean, in a nutshell, love family, love friends, and a lot of other things too.
We're going to talk about a few of those things that you love. We're going to go deep. So lately, when Esther and I have been getting together, our conversation has veered itself to preparation. So our topic today is to be or not to be prepared. Exclamation mark.
I love that.
So when I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, preparation, Queen Esther came to mind in regards to preparation, as well as the 10 virgins. So we always want to talk about the address. Esther, she got a whole book.
Yes,
Read about
does.
it.
Hello.
Read about it. It's deep. It's really good. And then with the 10 virgins, they're found in Matthew 25. So definitely check that out. I believe that's 1 to 13, where you can just read about the parable about the 10 virgins. So we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to talk about Esther's life, and which is quite a wonderful life.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. You're doing great things. You're doing awesome things. And I believe that with everything that we're facing today, everybody has dreams, everybody has desires, and we need to tap into those who are operating in that vein so we can learn. And from that place, we can then implement it in our own lives.
True.
To inspire,
I love
to
it.
encourage, to empower.
Come on, I see
To
what you
elevate.
did there.
Yes, I see you. So, Queen Esther, she came from the streets.
I'm glad you said
I know.
the street.
Oh no, she was wonderful. You know, she was a common person. She was seen as a common Jew back in those days, and she was a virgin. You know, if we need to define that, we'll put it in. We'll put it in the comments below. What do we call that? The description
box.
We'll put it there. We'll give a full Webster's Dictionary
Oh my gosh.
explanation on that. But she was a virgin, and in the city that she was in, the city of Susa, which was in Persia. Those days it was called Persia. She was beautiful. She was, she was, what would they say, a diamond piece nowadays?
Oh no, I don't think they would call it that.
Okay, did that just age me?
A little bit.
Okay. So what do they say now?
I'm trying to think.
Come on, school teacher. You're around all these high schools.
I usually know what's the.
I don't know. She looked good. She was
word.
pretty. She was very beautiful.
Yes. She beat out all the other girls.
She sure did. So the king of Persia of those days, he got rid of his wife, his queen at the time. She didn't obey his commands.
Vashti.
Yeah, it was this whole situation. We're not going to go too deep into that because that might start a whole thing.
I know.
Right there. But Vashti disobeyed. It didn't work out. He got rid of her and he was looking for a new chick. And in looking for a new chick, they roped up all of the virgins in the neighborhood and took them to the palace.
Yep.
And I've just wondered, like, if that happened. Well, I don't even know if that would have happened to me, but anyway, because my life was a little different. But we'll do testimonies another day.
There you go. Keep on track.
I was one of those ladies.
Right.
I just don't know. Like, when you put yourself in those shoes, like, what?
Right. Because on one hand, it's a weird thing. Because on one hand, you're like, I want to be chosen, but I'm like,
It's my home. You're taking me from my home. I can't see my family. But even then,
it's my will.
Yes. What? Oh, but I could be a queen. Which one? Which one? But in that, which is what we're going to pull from this experience that Queen Esther went through, is that while she was in the palace, all of those who were chosen, they had to go through a time of preparation before they could have their night with the king. Now, what that night looked like, we can get with scholars and biblical teachers who can go more in depth about what that night looked like. But we do know that they did major preparation for that night with the king. Before they got to see him, before they got to go before him, they did major preparations. They soaked in milk, perfumes, flowers, oils.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing was permeating
just from
out
your
of
pores.
them. Yes, they got to pick from the treasury things that they could wear. They got to pick the best linens, the best silk, that they could form outfits to put together to have this time with the king. And then as you go on with the story, Esther's life was used in a magnificent way that saved a nation. It saved the nation of Israel because their lives were in jeopardy. And the Lord had positioned her for a time such as this for her to be an impact in that way. But we're going to pull from that story the preparation.
Yes.
Because she didn't desire that preparation, but she went through it anyway. But it saved the whole nation. Positioned her, and it saved a whole nation. Then I thought of the 10 virgins, which represent the church. It represents believers, the 10 virgins. And the story of the 10 virgins, the parable of the 10 virgins, is pretty much they had their oil. They headed out together with their lanterns and their oil, and they were waiting for the bridegroom. He must, they was waiting ever so patiently for the bridegroom. They fell asleep while they were waiting. And then the announcement came that he was coming. And when they woke up, it was time for them to trim their lamps because their lamps were going out. The light was going out. The oil was going out. It was pretty much almost done. 5 of them came prepared to refill their lantern. They had additional wick to put in so they could continue on in their journey.
Right.
Where the other 5, they didn't come prepared. They didn't go to the store, to the market, and go grab what they needed so they wouldn't have to leave and come back. The problem with leaving and coming back is that the bridegroom showed up while they were gone. And the 5 that were prepared got to leave with the bridegroom. And when the other 5 came back from going shopping and getting their wicks and their oil, showed up, knocking on the door like,
missed it.
We here, we're ready to come through. And he's like, I don't know you. Who are you? It's a whole situation. It's so much to learn, so much to learn. So that's a synopsis of it. Please read it. NIV version, ELT version, Message version, whichever version you choose. But definitely read it. You'll be impacted by it. I'm sure the Holy Spirit will give you a revelation for yourself. But we're going to go deep and talk about your life.
Okay.
And how this scripture has applied to your life from beginning till now, and how even this word has shown itself, empowered you, led you, guide you in the life, in the dream that you have gone after, and is now bearing fruit. Like you're blossoming, darling. You're blooming. It's just so beautiful. Do you see these flowers? They see you.
Wow. I'm being likened to the flowers. I like it.
Oh my gosh, because you're just so beautiful.
Aww.
So, grew up in church.
Yep.
And what was that like in preparing you for life?
So I grew up Haitian household, Haitian church for the most part. We switched to American church around 6th grade. And there's just so many little moments that I think when you're younger, you take for granted, number one, or you kind of even resent, but your parents are sowing seeds, you know? So I can think of my mom always giving us money for church, right? Like, hey, this is your tithe, like give your money, you know, to church. And we would get birthday money. She would say, hey, take some out every single time. And I can remember having a conversation with somebody who came to the Lord like in their like mid-20s, right? And they were like, you have to think about like when you've never given any of your money to the Lord, and all of a sudden somebody says, take 10% of your whole income, your grown adult income, and give it to the Lord, if it hurts a little bit more than...
Because you're looking like, what?
Right.
Help me understand.
Yes. And so for me, I always grew up, whether I had $1, I would give 10 cents. Whether I got $50 for my birthday, I would give my $5. So when I got my grown adult income, it wasn't the thing. It was what I had always done. Now, I can remember being annoyed at my mom when I was little, like, man, I want to keep this 50 cents because I'm trying to go to the corner store. You know? But she gave it to me because she was instilling a principle inside of me, you know? So I think there's so many things that I would just not be the same person without, and not be, my foundation wouldn't have been laid the same if I didn't grow up the way that I grew up, for sure.
Okay. How was it with, because you grew up in a Haitian home, did you go to a Haitian church, or was it always, you know, more of a contemporary church? Like, what was that like?
We went to a Haitian church up until about 5th grade, 6th grade.
Okay.
And then that's when we had transitioned to going to our church now. And they're very different experiences. So in Haitian church, it was very, you know, obey your mother and father. That was like, that was the gospel, you know, and children, please do that.
Please.
Right.
We're not teaching you anything else. If you want to be blessed.
Right. But after Sunday school, and it was nothing really for us, which is why I feel like a lot of young adult Haitian American, like, they kind of leave the church because there was no grooming after that. It was like kids' church, and then it was like we hung out, but we didn't feel like it was for us a lot of times, you know? And so when we transitioned, I think I credited American church a lot with my spiritual growth, but in reality, Haitian church was teaching me the same things. I wasn't receiving it. I wasn't in the right space to receive it, I think. And but I was always learning those things, you know. And now that I'm older, when I hear a Haitian hymn, my heart reacts differently than it does when I am hearing the same song in English. And matter of fact, if the song is in English and Creole, I'm singing it in Creole. Absolutely. Like,
Roots.
It affects me. It speaks to a deeper part of my soul that I didn't even realize was connected until my later age.
Because you're just so old. Okay.
31 feel different. You're like comfortably in your 30s.
And it's good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all, actually. I kid.
Funny. Okay, so with growing up in church and having these experiences with transitioning from a Haitian church to an American church, learning these things about yourself, how did these principles, these learning opportunities, experiences, how did they shape or guide you in regards to pursuing your dream? And then talk to us a little bit about the dreams that you had back then for your life.
Man, how do they shape me for my dreams? That's an interesting question. So I feel like a big part of our Christian lives is discipleship. And I also feel like a major way that we are discipled is by people who are in our lives showing us examples. So I say that to bring up my parents, right? My mom, super hard worker, all of her siblings super hard worker, right? They say more is caught than it's taught, right? My mother never sat me down and was like, hard work is the way. Like, she never really said that, but I could see that in her life. I could see that in all of her siblings, my uncles and my aunt's life, you know. And my dad was an educator, like since Haiti. Like, he was the director of a school. And we grew up, we were the family that was at the library in the summer, and my dad was giving us book reports during the summertime.
I think my mom tried that with me. It didn't go, yeah.
Listen, my cousins would come from Boston on vacation, and my dad would assign them book reports. To this day, we still talk about that. Okay?
I'm here for this. This is Florida. Yes. Can we go to the beach after
pool?
Your book report?
Yeah, that is exactly what my house was like. So when I look at the hard work and I look at the emphasis on education, who I am makes sense.
Very much so, darling.
You know?
Very much so.
So I think back then, like, I used to toy around with what I wanted to be. I was a business major when I first got into college. That didn't work out.
Things turned out great.
Right, exactly. So they needed to be what they are now. Anyway, so I think I would dream a lot. I thought about being a dentist at one point. I would think about being a
after
teacher.
That conversation we just had?
Yeah, I know.
Interesting. For another day.
For another day. And when I had gotten into college, my whole dream was to be like to run a nonprofit, like wherever, like in Africa somewhere, or you know, whatever. I just wanted to do that, but business it wasn't it. So then I knew I was working as a youth leader. I knew I liked kids, right? That age too, high school specifically. I knew I loved that age, and I was teaching Sunday school even back then, and I just knew it was like I was good at this, you know. So I was like, let me just be a teacher. And at that time, Broward College was Broward Community, and it was turning into Broward College. So they were offering 4-year degrees in education. So it was just a no-brainer for me to stay at the school so that I didn't go into debt, right? Get this 4-year degree, and that was that. So I became an education major, and all the while, you know, keeping all my scholarships, not going into debt. So now when I look at my life, I can see how everything makes sense, right? And how everything was like set up, because I wouldn't have thought that those were my dreams back then, you know?
Wow.
So then now that I became a teacher, everybody knows teachers are infamous for not making any money. That's just the stigma, right? Like, everybody's like, if you're a teacher, you're broke, right? So I have to think about that, obviously. Like, what do I want in life? What do I want to be able to do? Okay, the career that I chose might not get me those things. You know what I'm saying?
What will you do?
So what will you do? So I think of course, my parents are like, go get a master's degree. And I'm like, that's expensive. You know, I don't want to pay for it on my teacher salary. I don't want to take out loans to do it either. So it left me with this, what are my other options question. And we're in the age of the internet. The internet is opening up and democratizing, that's the word of the month these days, opportunities for people, and making knowledge available for people. And so I started doing research, you know. I was like, oh, people are making money on blogs. People are making money by being influencers. People are making money by being YouTubers. What? Like, what can I do, right? So that I can doing what I already do, open up opportunities for myself, right? So I started making resources for teachers, right? I started growing my Instagram and talking more about teaching and different things like that.
And your kids.
And my kids. So, my students, who I love, they're a blast, have just been a wealth of like material for me. That's what, so I genuinely enjoy connecting with them, and people genuinely would like to understand what the kids are saying. You know, like what's
really don't know.
What's the newest lingo? What's the that was some thunder.
Listen, I didn't even know when to fully turn. Like, what just happened?
I know. So, and I'm finding parents are wanting to know, like they're not that connected. So that's been fun for me to explore. So I started making videos on that stuff. I started making resources for teachers. I started growing the account, and sooner or later, what happens is I knew what I was doing, but man, you say if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.
Okay.
Come on, somebody.
I'm about to go there with you. Because we're talking about putting together resources.
Yes.
We're talking about, you know, the Instagram, building this community on Instagram and providing resources, videos, like all of these things. They have to be prepared.
Right.
You're a full-time teacher. And this is now the side hustle, this thing that you're trying to create on the side. It's taking time. How did you prepare for that? What did that look like? Because now, you know, you're saying that your dream was shaped, you know, as time went on. And, you know, even from what you said, it sounds like your dad had a lot to do with that. And with making the processes of how can I increase my income that I can enjoy all of these other things. What kind of preparation went into putting this side hustle together, which is now, I don't even know if you can call it a side hustle anymore.
We're doing well right now.
Yeah, you're doing really well. Doing really well. So talk about that.
So I think my dad shaped my like value in education, right? And shaped and brought out that teaching gift in me. My mom did the hard work and the consistency, because I will say that consistency is the secret sauce, right? So there were days where I did
tweet that, darling. Tweet it, Instagram it, so I can share it. Because if not, I'm going to.
Yeah, put it on use it for your little promo. That's you. You got that.
Okay, thank you.
So I think there were lots of days where I didn't see any fruit, right? But I was still producing my videos, still making my products, right? And so when I say stay ready so you ain't got to get ready, because when people were ready to come looking and I was prepared, you know, then I make it easy for them. Oh my gosh, look, this is what I'm looking for, and it's already available to me. That is, for me, has been one of the things that has impressed me about all of this, because if I was never ready, those opportunities would have never come to me, right? And opportunities beget opportunities. So once you get one thing, it becomes easier to then get other things also. So if one company's looking at you and they give you the sponsorship, right? Like another company, those marketing people talk to each other. Like, yo, I'm looking for somebody to do this. Do you guys know anybody, right? And somebody refers you, like, oh, we worked with this girl. She was really good. You should go, you know, check her out. And you get another opportunity just like that, right? Like, and then on top of that, so let's say, like I work a lot with Texas Instruments, right? So they wanted us to do their conference this year, right? Us is me and some of my other Instagram friends, right? As soon as that didn't happen because of COVID, but as soon as that happens, guess what Esther gets to put on her resume?
Yes.
Conference speaker, right? It's an international conference. Guess what Esther gets to put on her resume?
International conference.
You know, so then I get to market myself differently. But if I was never positioned and ready for all of this, then I never get to those opportunities and get to capitalize on them.
Oh, okay. This is good. This is good stuff. So as you were speaking, you brought up, the fact of opportunities beget opportunities, but it's because you were ready.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to the 10 virgins of the 5 that were ready. That the opportunity there was for them to leave with the bridegroom and then go and experience something greater. Many times people get, they can't put they struggle with the word and just how real it is to the lives that we have today. And that was a prime example of the word coming alive in your life, of having your wick ready, having your oil ready, that when the bridegroom showed up, the opportunity, the husband, we'll get to that, shows up, you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who, you have a dream, you have an idea, you have concepts, begin to put a strategy together, because this all started with putting together a strategy. You ask the right question of, okay, I want to live this way, so how or what do I need to do, and then how do I need to make that happen, that I can live this way with still doing this specific thing. So right there, of just having that moment of sitting and unpacking your life, your dreams, and seeing what other things are necessary to formulate to make this happen, to birth this idea that you have and make it become something. And I want to say something great, but we have things great in our mind. Your idea was great, but what God has done with it, it's exponential. It's gone far beyond your thoughts, your dream, your idea. And it's become something that is now impacting so many. And I think that's key in anything that we put our hands to, anything that we are pursuing, that it's not just about the money. It's not just about having finances in the bank, which that's definitely a part of it. We're not negating that. It's like, no, we're not at all. But it needs to be something that's going to impact the world. Whose life will it change? How will I make the world better?
Absolutely.
Your sphere of influence is education. You impact the youth, the we can't even call them youth now, but high schoolers, and you impact the teachers. Your sphere of influence, you have stepped onto that mountain and you're dominating. Yes. For the kingdom. Go ahead, Esther. You're an inspiration to many. I really appreciate you. I love our convos.
I know, I do too.
Yeah, so we're going to go deeper. We're going to go further. So, with all of these things that the Lord has placed in your lap that you have time to prep and get yourself ready for, and opportunities are coming out of it. And that's the business world. But then we have relationships, we have friendships, we have possible marriage opportunities arising, wherever he might be, wherever. Prince Charming. But getting prepared for that, preparing yourself for friendships, friendships that you've had for a very long time, and then new. I know we have conversations about new friendships, new friendships, as well as preparing for the king that the Lord has in place for you. For Esther is single.
Hey,
yes, this beauty over here, she is single. I was gonna say ready to mingle, but
you don't like
I don't really like it. But we're working on that side too.
Right.
And hopefully, this is going global, darling.
Hello.
So he's out there.
Yes,
he's out there.
Jesus.
So we're gonna let's talk about relationships.
Okay.
But before we do, we're gonna end part 1 right here. Esther's life is amazing. It really is. You laughing. Her life is amazing. She has done so many great things. We haven't even touched on some of those things of how she's traveled the world. She's gone to Panama. She's impacted children over there that are now married and living life, doing great things. And they still reach out to her because she's been such a major impact in their lives. But we're going to come back for part 2. And in part 2, we're going to talk more about Esther's life of preparation with relationships, with the king to be in her life, marriage, and then we're going to talk about some issues that we're dealing with today as a people, and just some tools that she could give to us as to how we can maneuver better as an educator, educate us as to how we can process, how we can be of difference in a time where there's so much indifference, there's so much marginalization, there's so much issues going on, and for us to not forget who we are, but utilize who we are in the land to make a major impact, like you're making a major impact. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. And as I will always encourage you, go out and be great. You are kings and you are queens. You are called to rule and reign in the land of the living. In all your giftings, find what it is that God has called you to do. Go do it and be great at it. And don't forget, like, subscribe, comment below. There's another one. Oh, ring my bell.
Hey!
And then I'll ring it back the next time I drop a video. So make sure you join us next week for part 2 with Esther. To be prepared or not to be prepared.